Hi there. I've received quite a few inquiries about this proposed LNG Malahat project, and I thought I might make this video to answer a few of those questions as well as express a few of my own thoughts on the issue. And before I dive into that, I just want to take a moment to give a shout out to my fellow directors. And I just want to let people know, whether you're watching this in Mill Bay, Cobble Hill, North Cowichan, that the people around this table, at the CVRD table, care. They really do care about their communities. And that's why we can get so heated in our discussions around the table. And I just want to give a shout out, because as this process goes on and we hear things through the media or in the community, just remember that your local politician cares, and you should reach out and talk to them about any concerns that you have. So with that said, for those who aren't aware, about 7 months ago, Malahat and Steelhead LNG signed an agreement in principle about constructing a LNG processing facility in the Saanich Inlet off the waters of Bamberton properties and the Malahat lands. And so that's been pretty quiet. And then recently, one of our directors put forward a motion stating that we need to write a letter to Steelhead LNG stating that we oppose all LNG. And if I could go back in time, I would make that unanimous decision not so unanimous. I would take back my vote. And the reason being is a few things. One is the process about how all this happened. I've seen one presentation on LNG at the Mill Bay Community League Hall, and that's all I really know about it. I've done a little bit of homework online. So I think that there's a serious lack of information is a big point that we don't have. I think the process about how this came forward late at night after a heated debate around economic development with very little information, I don't think it was really appropriate to make such a blanket statement without everything being considered. And the other part that has kind of bothered me a lot is the fact that this was announced quite publicly about 7 months ago. And in that time, the CVRD has never gone forward to Malahat and had a discussion with them about it. I don't know why. We've just never gone forward. And since then, there's been a change in chief and council, and we don't even know what their position is because we've never talked to them. And this goes back to part of this process. It's almost like if your neighbor was going to build a huge home on the property line or something that was going to disrupt your day-to-day life. It's usually good form to go and speak to your neighbors. And we've never done that. And I don't know why. And I think that's a first step that we should really be taking before making statements like this, is finding out where they're coming from and if that's their stance still. And we haven't done any of that. And I guess the other part that really bothers me is that if we are going to move forward in that direction and oppose LNG, that we should do it in a meaningful way that has a higher likelihood of results. So why aren't we writing to the Department of Fisheries, the Ministry of Environment, to our Premier, to our Prime Minister, National Energy Board? There's a whole host of organizations that would be better suited to take on our concerns than the corporation itself. It'll be almost like writing a letter to Coca-Cola and saying, we oppose sugary drinks in our area. I don't think the corporation's going to care too much. And I understand that the idea is symbolic, but if we want meaningful action, we should be going in another direction. And again, I think that starts with discussions with Malahat and find out where they're at. And at that point, they're still moving forward and we still have these concerns and the public is still concerned, then yeah, let's start making action that's meaningful and has a chance of success. So that's kind of why I think it was a poor choice in the process component of it, but also in terms of action. And I think that we have to be realistic in our jurisdiction here as a local government. As it stands, for those who aren't aware, Malahat purchased the Bamberton industrial properties, and any rezoning that happens through there does still come through the CVRD, and we have to decide on that. And that's where our jurisdiction ends, a little bit off the water, and then after that we're getting into provincial and federal territory, and that's where this proposed processing facility is going to be. And so we need to keep that in mind in terms of our jurisdiction and our actual things that we can do. And I'd also like to add, there's been some talk about how this process has occurred and a lot of finger pointing, but I think we need to step back and say, what could we have done and what should we be doing now to get to that meaningful action? And Steelhead LNG has come forward and inquired with our staff about potential rezoning of some of this Bamberton property, in the same way that, like I said, if your neighbor was going to build an extra house or subdivide their property, there's the initial consultation, which is rather casual and informal, about whether the zoning's appropriate, what paperwork's required, what studies are required, and those kinds of things. And so there's been those initial discussions, but no application has been put forward yet. And once that application comes forward, our staff will go through the process of looking at the rezoning and what's required for it, if it does. And at that point, that report comes to us as a political body, and we have to start making decisions around that application in terms of safety, the environment, and things that are within the land use authority that we have as a local government. So, and I'd also like to just take a moment to give a shout out to our staff. They have produced excellent work and have always been open to new ideas and inquiries that directors have. There are some directors at the table who delve very deep into the subject matter of some applications and really bring new discussion to light. And sometimes it goes back to staff and then back to the board for further discussion. So I'd just like to give a shout out to our staff who do a great job. And, you know, as we have these discussions, we can get rather passionate about it, we can get angry, and the reason being is because we care. But I would really recommend that the staff are not the people that we should be pointing our anger at. I need to hear from you as your elected official. I need to hear your concerns. I need to hear what your thoughts are on the process, and if it does move forward, what are the things that you want to have done? So, you know, that's what we're here for. That's what we got elected for. And I'd love to hear from you. You can leave some comments in the section down below if you're here on YouTube, or you can also email me or call me, which I'll post at the end of this video. So those are a few of my thoughts in terms of our jurisdiction, the process, and moving forward. And like I said, I welcome your comments. Thanks.